The day my son told me there wasn't enough room for me at his new house celebration, something inside me changed. My name is Daniel Brooks. I'm 69 years old, and for most of my life, being a father was the role I valued more than anything else. My son Ethan was my only child. After his mother passed away, it was just the two of us. I worked overtime whenever I could, missed holidays, missed sleep, missed opportunities of my own, so he could have opportunities I never had. I never complained about it. That's what parents do. At least that's what I always believed. A few months ago, Ethan called with exciting news. He and his wife, Jessica, had bought a beautiful new home. I was proud of him. I still remember helping him move into his first apartment years earlier. Now he owned a house of his own. It felt like one of those moments every parent hopes to see. A few weeks later, I heard they were planning a large housewarming celebration. Friends, neighbors, co-workers, family. Everyone seemed excited. 3 days before the party, I called Ethan to ask a simple question. What time should I come by? The silence on the other end of the line immediately felt wrong. Then he cleared his throat. Dad, we're already over capacity. I laughed. I honestly thought he was joking. He wasn't. He explained that too many people had already confirmed. Too many commitments, too many guests. Then he said the words I never expected to hear. We decided not to invite you. For a moment I couldn't respond. Not because I was angry. Because I was hurt. There is a difference. I wasn't asking for special treatment. I wasn't asking for attention. I was his father. Still, I wished him well and ended the call. That night I sat alone in my living room. The television played in the background, but I barely noticed it. My mind kept replaying the conversation, trying to understand it, trying to find some explanation that made sense. A few hours later, photos from the celebration started appearing online. I clicked through them slowly. Dozens of people. A massive backyard. Plenty of room. More room than most people could ever need. And that's when the truth finally hit me. There had always been space for me. The problem wasn't capacity. The problem was that someone had decided I didn't belong there. I tried to put it behind me. I really did. But exactly 1 week later, my phone rang. The screen showed Ethan's name. I almost ignored it. Almost. Something told me to answer. And before that conversation ended, my son would ask me for something he never should have assumed I would give. I stared at my phone for several seconds before answering. Part of me wanted to let it ring, not because I was angry. Because I wasn't ready. The disappointment from the housewarming party still sat heavy on my chest. But he was my son. So I answered, Ethan. His voice sounded unusually cheerful, almost too cheerful, like nothing had happened, like he hadn't excluded me from one of the biggest moments of his life. For the first few minutes he made small talk. He asked about my health, talked about the weather, asked how my garden was doing. The conversation felt strange, forced, like he was carefully walking around something. Then he finally got to the reason he had called. Dad, I need your signature. Just like that. No apology. No explanation. No acknowledgement of what had happened. Only a request. Actually, it sounded more like an expectation. I asked him what he meant. He explained that the bank needed additional documentation connected to the mortgage. Apparently, there had been a last-minute issue with financing. The lender wanted extra security before final approval. As he spoke, I noticed something. He wasn't asking if I would help. He was explaining how I would help, as if the decision had already been made. As if my role was automatic, I sat quietly and listened. Then I thought about the party, the empty invitation, the photos, the strangers standing in the place where his father should have been. And 6 words came to mind, 6 simple words. Ask the people who replaced me. The silence that followed was immediate. For the first time during the call, Ethan didn't have an answer. Then I quietly ended the conversation. Afterward, I sat in my chair staring out the window. I didn't feel victorious. I felt sad, because parents never stop caring, even when they're hurt. 3 days passed without a single call. Then my sister Linda showed up at my house. The moment she walked through the door, I knew something was wrong. She had attended the housewarming party, and she looked uncomfortable. After we sat down, she told me the truth. The problem had never been space. The problem had been image. According to Linda, Jessica had become obsessed with appearances. She wanted everything to look perfect. The perfect neighborhood, the perfect furniture, the perfect social circle. And apparently I didn't fit into that picture. Linda hesitated before continuing. Then she said something that hit even harder. Jessica was worried some of her friends would judge you. Judge me. At 69 years old, after everything life had taught me, I wish I could say that made me angry. Honestly, it mostly made me sad. But Linda wasn't finished, because the real surprise came next. The beautiful house everyone admired wasn't nearly as secure as it looked. According to conversations she overheard, Ethan and Jessica had stretched themselves to the absolute limit to buy it. Luxury furniture was financed. Renovations were financed. Appliances were financed. Even some of the landscaping had been financed. From the outside, everything looked successful. Behind closed doors, the pressure was enormous. Suddenly, Ethan's request made perfect sense. The bank wasn't looking for paperwork. The bank was looking for protection. They wanted someone with stability, someone with assets, someone they could trust, someone like me. And the painful realization finally settled in. When they were celebrating success, there wasn't room for me. But when they needed help, there was. If you've ever felt forgotten during someone's good times, but remembered the moment they needed something, subscribe. Because some lessons about family are learned the hard way. For the next several days, I heard nothing. Then one evening there was a knock at my front door. When I opened it, Ethan was standing there alone. No Jessica, no confidence, no smile. Just a tired man carrying more weight than he could handle. And for the first time since all of this began, I saw something in his eyes I hadn't seen before. Regret. I invited Ethan inside. For several minutes neither of us spoke. Then he finally looked up. "Dad, I messed up." His voice cracked. For the first time since all of this began, I wasn't hearing excuses. I was hearing regret. He admitted that he had let other people's opinions influence his decisions. He wanted acceptance, wanted success, wanted the image of a perfect life. And somewhere along the way, he forgot the people who helped him build it, including me. Then he told me the truth. The housewarming decision had started with Jessica. She worried constantly about appearances. Who fit in? Who didn't? And when it came time to build the guest list, she decided I didn't match the image she wanted her friends to see. I listened quietly. Then I asked him one question. If the bank wasn't involved, would you be here today? The silence lasted several seconds. Finally, he lowered his head. Probably not. The answer hurt. But it was honest. And honesty was the first step toward fixing what had been broken. Over the next few months, Ethan made changes. Real changes. He started setting boundaries, stopped chasing approval, and began valuing relationships more than appearances. The mortgage problem eventually found its own solution. Without my signature, without my money, several months later, Ethan invited me to a small family barbecue. Nothing fancy, just family. When I arrived, he greeted me at the front door. Then he turned to everyone gathered and said, "The most important person here almost wasn't invited." The yard fell silent. He looked directly at me. "And that's the biggest mistake I've ever made. If you've ever felt forgotten by someone you sacrificed for, subscribe. Because sometimes the greatest victory isn't revenge. It's being appreciated before it's too late." For the first time in a long while, I felt something I hadn't felt since his mother died. Proud. Not because my son was successful. Because he finally remembered what truly mattered.